you were there to get each other better, one thing only. And if a person didn't want to be a part of that, get the fuck out. You said, I ignored Louis for a year, told me what I needed to do, and I just didn't believe him. It sounded crazy. It doesn't make any sense. And so and then I finally just started doing what he told me. Don't make that same mistake. So I didn't, you know. And I remember I deadlifted one time, and I got a big old ass. You know, they call me Bubble Butt in high school as a kind of mean nickname. So like my glutes, I must have big, strong glutes, right? So I'm deadlifting, I can't lock out reps properly. Louis is there screaming at me, "You got an ass of a 13-year-old girl." I'm thinking, this guy is crazy. You know, he's like, "You need to do this, you need to do that." And I'm just like, he's nuts. He was right. You know, it doesn't matter how big it is, it's how strong it is. And he see those things and he point them out. And like most people, they would have that initial reaction like I did. Like, that ain't right. And they wouldn't do it. And I just followed your advice and just did what he said. Yeah. And that was why we got along, you know, because I would go to breakfast, I'd ask him stuff, but I'd actually do it. Whereas other people would ask him and then not do it. And he just, you know, what the hell? And when I first got there, they didn't even do waves on squats anymore. You know, Greg was the strongest guy. Greg liked to work up heavy every Friday. It wasn't working for me. I said to Louis at breakfast one day, why do we work up every week? He's like, I don't know. I go, can I go to do waves? He's like, if you can get someone to train with you. And Tony and Matt said they would train with me. And so we'd squat after those guys. We'd run the monolift for them. And then we would squat after. And I bought waves back. But Louis said, I don't know. But Greg was the strongest guy in the gym. It's what Greg wanted to do. And Louis always lets the strongest guy do what they want to do because they're the strongest guy. Yeah. Like, it's working for them. It wasn't working for me. So, you know, I asked him, and I'm so confused by it because we would do, you know, 3-4 sets of speed, and then Greg would just start adding plates.
Start working up.
And his attitude was, you know, and Louis says this, like, the strongest guy is the guy who can lift the heaviest the most often. If you can lift heavy every day, you'll be the strongest guy. But most people can't do that.
Yeah.
And, you know, Jimmy Cole, bench press world record holder, unlimited 1,300 plus pounds, he trains heavy. Well, he was training heavy twice a week, you know. Now he's had to change it a little bit up, but, you know, strongest guy. But most people can't train like that. Most people aren't going to recover. Most people aren't going to do that. And the more I learned about conjugate, you know, separate from Westside, was that when you actually looked at it, like, it's the perfect training system because everybody can train off a percentage. You know, and when I went into CrossFit, because we started doing the seminars with CrossFit, and that's when things really blew up, you know, because all these CrossFitters wanted to get strong. But when we started doing the seminars for CrossFit, what I realized the lack in CrossFit was at the time with their randomness was it was random, but they would say, you know, men's weight 225, women's weight 135, and, you know, max reps. But your stronger guy is doing more reps than your weaker guy. So how is the recovery the same for the next day? So how do you control that? You can't. And so you had guys getting injured because they were going too heavy, and then guys not getting better because they're going too light. And I was like, if you just had a percentage and said working weight 50% of your max, now everybody's on an even playing field. Now you actually can control the system without actually taking the chaos out of it.
Yeah.
And what I found is there's two types of people. There's people who like certainty, and then people who like uncertainty. And people who like certainty are the people who have planners and they have to have schedules for everything. They seem to do really, really well on just squat, bench, and deadlift 3 times a week or similar program.
Yeah, linear models that lay it out for 12 weeks.
Majority of people, myself included, I would blow my brains out if that's what I had to do every day. Like, I wouldn't even, it would just drive me nuts.
Yeah.
Plus, I think it leads to, you know, overdevelopment, weaknesses, higher risk of injury from personal experience. But I like chaos. So I like to know I'm benching, but I like to be able to walk in the gym and say, how do I feel? Okay, we're going to use this bar. We're going to use this bar. You know, where do I need to get stronger? And that's one thing that you learn about Westside is you didn't plan your training. You walked in, and depending on who was there, you would kind of have a debate about what we're going to do today. You might get into some arguments. If you were late, you're stuck on whatever everyone else is doing. But it changed based on how you felt, you know, and did we recover? Did we not recover? And so it was so fluid in the sense of like the individualism within a program that everybody is doing the same thing. So
that's what becomes so hard to explain, because overarching there's a template. You know, there's max effort, supplemental accessory. That's easy to explain. But then it gets all blown up when what max effort exercises should I do and what rotation? Like, the fuck are you talking about? What do you want to do? Yeah. Well, I really like to do that. Well, don't do it all the time. You know, you mix it up. Good mornings, deadlift, squats. Yeah. don't do the same thing. And, for me, it would drive me insane if I had to phase, a max effort exercise over 3 weeks. So the first week, 4 reps, second week, 3, third week, like, fuck that. If I don't feel stable with the movement because I don't know it really well, let me get acclimated to it. And then maybe the next week I'll do it again, but doubtful. And maybe you're just going to just do that one thing and then realize, man, I sucked at that, which is kind of good because the next time you rotate through it, you're going to destroy it.
Not only that, but you also, like, if you feel like shit, you can just make something up you've never done before, and then you leave on a positive. Because the one thing that I find very odd is a lot of lifters miss in training. Mm-hmm. Like, they're okay with working up and missing. And the goal we had was to never miss. If you did miss because of technique or something, you could come back and try it one more time, and usually get yourself into, that more competition mindset, which you never want to go to too much in the gym. You always want to leave that edge for competition. But you would come back and hit it, and then your ego would take over. Put another 20 pounds on, and someone else had to say, no, fucking done. Like, you got a PR, you get out of there. But that was the other thing with it, is like, depending on how you felt, you knew, okay, I'm good today I can hit a PR on my floor press, or I'm not ready for that yet. And then for me, I love it more on accessories. I know I got to do an extension, but I don't want to do the same damn extension every week. So the opportunities are endless. Okay, let's use, chains with dumbbells, or let's do bands. And that was something that, like, I'm like, this is great. And actually, when I did the bodybuilding shortly, and I worked with John Meadows, like, the reason I gravitated with John is because he took what he learned at Westside and was applying it to all bodybuilding. It just made sense to me. And I can't tell you how many people I've like took an exercise and just added a band to it, and they're like, holy crap. Like, I feel it so much different in the targeted area. This is insane. And, I started realizing that for those that do train kind of alone or don't have a great crew, that you can create intensity throughout the workout by using bands, chains, and then also using, drop sets. And I realized, like, that's how you get better alone. If you are alone, you have to create intensity. The level of intensity we had at Westside, I don't know how to explain it to people. Like, it's like you're walking into the devil's pit in, like, literally. Yeah, I mean, there were so many days I'd be driving to the gym, like, what the fuck am I doing? Why am I doing this? Like, I couldn't, I was limping to the car because my back is in so much pain, and I'm driving, I'm heading to McDonald's to get my 2 fucking breakfast sandwiches and put the hash browns in, and of course get the Diet Coke because you always get diet. And you smash that before you go to the gym. By the time you get to the gym, you're like, all right, let's go. And you walk in and you still don't want to be there after like 1 or 2 sets. And then something clicks, and usually it's someone would say something or do something. I remember Travis Bell one time, I was in a bad mood on Wednesday for a bench, and he was a bench only guy. So he was always there just Wednesdays and then on weekends. And he's like, why are you in a bad mood? He's like, smile. I looked at him, I said, motherfucker, I'm not here to be your friend. I'm here to kick your ass. And that's how I felt with that gym. And it's funny because I listened to the podcast you did with your training crew. And it's like, when you look back, it's like, you had a good time and stuff, but you weren't really friends with the guys in there. Like, and that was something, like, you would hang out because, like, those people understood you. But like that was the weirdest thing about it, was it's like, it was a brotherhood, yet not a friendship. Like, you were there to get each other better, one thing and one thing only. And if the person didn't want to be a part of that, get the fuck out. There was no, I will still be your friend and hang out. It's like, nope, you're off the team.